on the way. We're in the middle of the tribulation period. Hard times and for a hard people. Hard times for hard people. We're surrounded. They are surrounded. We're not. We're probably surrounded by glory and angels and everything in New Jerusalem up above, while all this is happening down below. But we're surrounded by hell's angels, fallen angels. Let's have a word of prayer. Let's get somebody up here. Bonnie, I know you don't want to do this. Brother Montana, he's our missionary. We're going to thank you to him while he was here. You want to come up and lead us in prayer, brother?
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. I thank you we get to come here and learn about you, and I pray you'll just teach us, dear Lord, and that we'll receive it. And in your name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, brother. Anyway, we're surrounded by hell's angels. We'll tell you a little bit about fallen angels, okay, and hell's angels right now. That's what we're going to talk about a little bit while we're here. In my doctor's thesis, you will see this. How many of you have the book of Revelation that I did, the doctor's thesis? Anybody? Randall, I think you do. Bill's got one at home, I think, because we did the book of Revelation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Book of Revelation. All fallen angels and demons lost their original holiness and became corrupt in nature. All right? Matthew 10 and verse 1 tells us that. Ephesians 6, 11 and 12, and Revelation 12 and 9 tells us these facts. Okay? Some of them were cast down to the bottomless pit. Some of these fallen angels were cast down to the bottomless pit. Some of them that were extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. And they're there, and they've been there for a long, long time. Just gnawing on the bars of the bottomless pit, so to speak, ready to be turned loose. You know, angels are supernatural beings. They're supernatural beings. They're not like us. They've known things that happened ever since eternity past. They were there. In eternity past, they rebelled against God. And they destroyed the material creation of God. Now, I think that these hell's angels that we're talking about here are the devil's crew. I believe the most dangerous ones were from the realm of Michael, the spiritual realm. And these angels are extremely powerful. And God is going to turn them loose on the earth for a short period of time. And that's what we're going to see. Some of them were cast down to the bottomless pit, which we call the Abysson. See this, Brother Randall? Abysson. That U-looking thing there is like an I or a Y. Actually a Y. Abysson. The Abysson literally means what? No bottom. No bottom. Okay? No bottom. That's what it means. They were cast down to the bottomless pit to be held in chains. Now the word chains there, I don't know whether it's literal or not. But they are incarcerated and they are controlled. Okay? Spiritual chains at least. To be held in chains until the day of their tormenting men. Because, now Jude 6, 2 Peter 2 and 4, and Revelation 9, 1 through 11. Let's look at Jude 6. Someone turn to Jude 6 for me. And then 2 Peter 2 and 4, and I want you to come up here and read that for me real quick. Jude 6 and 2 Peter 2 and 4. Jude 6 and 2 Peter 2 and 4. Who has that? Jude 6 and 2 Peter 2. Brother Mike, you have that? All right. Jude 6.
And angels who did not keep their own domain, but abandoned their proper abode,
he has kept in eternal bonds under darkness for the judgment of the great day.
All right. And then 2 Peter
2
and 4.
Okay. For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to pits of darkness reserved for judgment, and did not spare the ancient world, but preserved Noah, a preacher of righteousness, with 7 others when he brought a flood upon the world of the ungodly. This goes on a while.
Yeah.
And if he condemned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah to destruction by reducing them to ashes, having made them an example to those who would live ungodly thereafter, and if he rescued righteous Lot, oppressed by the sensual conduct of unprincipled men, for by what he saw and heard, that righteous man, while living among them, felt his righteous soul tormented day after day with their lawless deeds.
Okay, that's enough. That's the only thing that we would ever have any inclination that Lot was saved, huh? What did Lot do? He vexed his righteous soul. Now let's go back. Now these angels are too dangerous to turn loose. Okay? They're too dangerous. We're going to find out what happens. We're going to be surrounded in the book of Revelation, this period of time. People on earth are going to be surrounded by these hellish angels. These the demons and the angels that are turned loose out of the bottomless pit. Number 3, the third point. Some of them are left free and engage in definite opposition to the work of good angels on earth today. You think so? Well, I think we've experienced that all through our lives. Okay? Revelation 12, 7 through 9, Daniel 10, 12 through 21, Jude 9, Ephesians 2 and 2, and Ephesians 6, 11 and 12. These are all these angels that are active today, but these aren't as dangerous as the ones that he's going to turn loose on earth. The ones that he's going to turn loose on earth are lusting after blood and to torment mankind. Now, what we've studied so far, we find out that the church age is over. The rapture takes place, and it raptures all of the saved and all the church, and they're with the Lord in heaven. There are many people, I believe the greatest revival that's going to take place right now is those that had heard the gospel during the church age. When they see the judgment of God come upon the earth, there's going to be a lot of them saved. Just like it did in the days of Noah. Just like what happened in the days of Noah. Okay? Number 4. Evil angels played a part in the destruction of the original creation of God in Genesis 1 and 2. Revelation 12, 8 and 9. Isaiah 14, 12 through 7. Ezekiel 28, 12 through 19. We know that some of these fallen angels took part in the destruction of the earth as it was originally created in perfection in Genesis 1 and 1. Genesis 1 and 2 is the fall of Satan. There is where we see the evidence of the fall of Satan, whether he fell before that or not. But at the fall of Satan, he destroyed God's material creation that he was over. Remember, Lucifer, or Satan, his name was Lucifer, which means light carrier, or Hillel, which means the shining one or light carrier, and he became the angel of darkness. In Genesis 1 and 2 it says, and darkness was over the faces of the deep.
God took his light away.
He was no longer light. He was no longer light. There was no more longer any light in him. God made him one of the most beautiful beings that ever was. The Bible says that he is an angel of light. He was the angel of light. He was Hillel. But he became the angel of darkness because of volition. He wanted to. Number 5, the 5th point, is the final abode of all wicked angels and demons shall be the lake of fire that we have over here, Revelation 20 and verse 10, the lake of fire. Okay? Matthew 25 and verse 41 tells us, true justice necessitates a hell. Do you know that? True justice necessitates hell. Number 7, Satan's angels control armies and nations. Satan's angels control armies and nations. In Daniel 7:15 through 28, and Daniel 10:7 through 13, Joel 3:9 through 17. The mighty ones here in Joel refer to angels, the mighty ones. Let's go a little further. Number 8. Wicked angels and demons sometimes do God's bidding or tormenting people. Psalm 78 and verse 49. Wicked angels sometimes do God's bidding in tormenting people. Psalm 78 and 49, Revelation 9 and 1, and 1 Kings 22 and verse 23, 1 Samuel 16 and 14, and 1 Samuel 19 and verse 9. Number 9, point number 9. They can inflict disease, and they do inflict disease. Job 1:5 through 10. Matthew 9 and verse 33. Matthew 12 and verse 22. Luke, see all these cross references to this? Luke 9 and verse 37 through 42. And Luke 13:11 through 16. Matthew 4:24. Matthew 8 and 16. Matthew 9:20 through 35. And Mark 1:32 through 34. I know we're moving along. You're going to have to get a tape. All right. Or else listen to it on the website. Number 10, 10th point. These demon angels, these fallen angels, these hell's angels that we're talking about, demons can cause mental disorders. Mark 5:4 and 5, Luke 8 and verse 35. Demons can cause people to have great powers on earth. Did you know that? Let's just look at some of the people that had a great amount of power over other people. Hitler. What do you think about him? Charles Manson. Jim Jones. And that was religion there, wasn't it? Well, Hitler was religion too. If you look at that like that. Hitler was part of it also. Demons can cause mental disorders and great power. Number 11. That's Mark 5:4 and 5, and Luke 8 and 35, by the way. Number 11, the 11th point on fallen angels, hell's angels, and demons. Demons lead out in moral impurity, filthy raving. Moral impurity. You want to know why the world is so morally corrupt today? It's because of the influence of fallen angels and demons. You go back and read the book of Enoch and see what they did back in those days. Before the flood. They were doing the same thing. Matthew 12:43, Matthew 10 and 1, Mark 1:23 through 27, Luke 4:33 through 36, Acts 5:16 and 7, Acts 16 and verse 16, Revelation 16:13, Leviticus 18:6 through 30. These are all attributes and influence of demon spirits. Number 12, point number 12. Demons are the author of false doctrine. Demons are the author of false doctrine. You have a lot of denominations in the world, don't you, and a lot of religions. The Lord Jesus Christ only called one church out, people. He only built one religion. Only one. But we see thousands and thousands and thousands. Demons are the author of false doctrine and false religion. 1 Kings 22:21 through 24. 1 Thessalonians 2 and 2. 1 Timothy 4 and 1. 1 Thessalonians 2:11 and 12. Doctrines of demons. Demons oppose children of God in their spiritual progress. Number 13. Demons oppose children of God in their spiritual progress. Ephesians 6:10 through 13. What does Ephesians 6 tells us? What does Ephesians 6:10 through 13 tell us? Dr. John, are you open there to Ephesians 6:10 through 13?
I'm trying to keep up.
You're trying to stay up with me, huh? Who's got Ephesians 6? Young lady, do you have Ephesians 6? 6:10 through 13. Can you come up here and read that for me? Ephesians 6:10 through 13. All right.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places.
All right. We wrestle not. We wrestle against the methods of the devil, against spiritual armies. Isn't that what we've been talking about? They're all around us. We're surrounded today. But we're surrounded in this church age, but they're kept on a leash. They can only do so much damage to us and to the world today. But during the tribulation period, they're going to just, all the boundaries and all the chains are going to be unchained. They're going to be unhandcuffed to do their dirty work. Demons oppose children of God in their spiritual progress, Ephesians 6:10 through 13, and Luke 22:31. Number 14, 14th point. Demons desire to dwell in human or animal flesh. We're talking about demons, we're not talking about angels. Fallen demons or fallen spirits are demons. Fallen angels are fallen angels. Angels have form. Demons do not have form. They're demon spirits. They seek to dwell in human or animal flesh. Okay? The good spirits of God influence us and guide us in what we do. Demon spirits oppose, and demon spirits possess, and demon spirits oppress people. Okay? And demon spirits give some people great influence and great power over others. They have, their words can completely, look at what Jim Jones did. Let's look at that. Look what he did. He led those people astray, and he was supposed to be a Christian leader, supposedly. He got a lot of those people to commit suicide. All the children and everything, they drank that Kool-Aid that was laced with poison. And hundreds of them, I think it was 900 people died. They're just laid out in Guyana. At home I have that in a piece of paper. I should have brought that today as an illustration. Demons desire to dwell in human or animal flesh. Matthew 4:24, Mark 5:18 through 14, Luke 8:2, Acts 8:7, Acts 16:16, Genesis 3 and verse 1. There's a great difference between demon-possessed and demon-obsessed and filled and demon oppression and demon possession. Antichrist shall be devil-filled. Why is he going to be devil-filled? Because he's going to be the son of Satan. He is going to be the son of Satan. 1 Thessalonians 2:3 through 10. Judas was filled, influenced by Satan. It says that Satan filled his heart. Filled it up. Luke 22:3, John 13:3, Acts 16:16. Demon oppression. 1 Samuel 16 and verse 14. Luke 22:31. And that was Peter. Matthew 16:23. Paul in 2 Corinthians 12:7 through 10. Number 15th point. Number 15th point. Demons are active in witchcraft and fortune-telling and false religion. They influence. They inspire. Where do you think Charles Taze Russell got all his information? You think it just flowed out of that ignorant man? How about Joseph Smith? Influenced, led Herbert Armstrong, Garner Ted Armstrong. We see these people that had great influence over people, over people's lives, and their influence has gone on past their deaths. Become very, very powerful. Demons are active in witchcraft, fortune telling. Acts 16:16, we have a woman there that was possessed by the spirit of a pythona, a python, the great snake. Isaiah 47 verse 13, Ezekiel 21 verse 21, Deuteronomy 32 and verse 17. Luke 19 and or Leviticus 19 and verse 31. 1 Samuel 28, 3 through 9. Deuteronomy 18, 10 through 12. 2 Kings 21 and verse 6. And all the way through 23, 24. 1 Chronicles 10, 13. 2 Chronicles 33 and verse 6. And Isaiah 19, 3 through 14. Number 16th point. Hell's angels. The world is surrounded by hell's angels. God shall extensively use demons to torment mankind during the tribulation period. Revelation 9 and 1. Actually, Revelation 8 through on. Demon oppression is temporary. Demon possession can be permanent. Demon oppression is temporary. Demon possession can be permanent. Let's go back to 8 and 1 now, Revelation 8 and 1. Do you have any questions about that? Now let's see them go to work. Now let's see what we talked about. All right? This is a scary period of time, isn't it? Really scary. And when he opened up the seal, the seventh, it became silence in the heaven about a half hour. I have experienced silence. You have to be someplace where it's very still. When I lived in Fish Lake Valley, I could go up in the mountains. That's where I tried to take Marilyn the other day. I got lost. They've changed the roads around so much. I was going to take her up on Perry Aiken Creek and take her out there just a little way. There's a lot of wild tea growing up there and everything else, but it's absolutely silent. When the wind is not blowing, you can hear an ant walk. How many believe that? You can hear an ant walk. How many of you ever heard an ant walk? Anybody ever had an ant walk? How many of you ever heard ants fight? If you get up there, you're going to hear ants walk and you're going to hear ants fight. And my son went up there one time with his .22 rifle, and he sat up there on the hill, and he came back. He says, "White as a sheet." And I said, "What's wrong, Gary?" And he said, "It's so quiet up there, it scared me. My heart started racing. I could hear the blood running in my ears." You ever been in a place like that, quiet like that, Brother Mike? Where you can hear the blood running through your ears? Yeah, Brother Rex, you've been in a place like that. It's frightening. Well, God is going to frighten the world with silence. Silence. That's all it takes. There's not anything going to be moving, no wind going to be blowing, nothing. Silence. Silence is going to be terrifying. Dead calm. Dead calm. Dead calm. Dead silence in heaven, a violently calm, a terrifyingly quiet place. 8 and verse 2, and I saw the 7 angels. I'm just reading this to you out of Greek. I hope that's all right with you. The ones before the God, they have stood, and they were given to them 7 trumpets, bugles. These angels. And then it says, and another, a different angel, he came, and he was caused to stand upon the altar of the sacrificial altar. The Theosia Teriou. That's the sacrificial altar. The altar of sacrifice. The altar of slaughter. And having a censer, gold. And it was given to him incense, much. In order that he shall give the prayers of the saints and all upon the sacrificial altar to the golden sacrificial altar in the presence of the throne of God. The altar in heaven is referred to 7 times. 7 is number of perfection. Now these are the souls of God down under these 7, under this sacrificial altar. What kind of a sacrificial altar was that? That's a real one. That's the altar that Christ offered his blood on. Verse number 4. And it went up the smoke of the incense. Now, incense in the Bible always refers to what? What's it typify? Prayers. Thank you, Joanne. You got an A+ today. Incense typifies prayers. Incense were the prayers of the saints out of the hand of the angel in the presence of God. All right? That's number 4. And he has taken the angel, the censer, and he filled it out of the fire of the altar of sacrifice. Out of the fire of the altar of the sacrifice, or the sacrificial altar. And he threw it unto the earth, and they became thunders. And that word thunders there is bronti. Have you ever heard of brontosaurus? They think a brontosaurus could make a great big sound, like a tremendous bass trumpet. Like a brontosaurus, and sounds and lightning flashes, and seismos and earthquakes. The old earth is going to shake. Now we went from dead silence to a lot of noise. God takes the dead silence and he breaks it with thunder and lightning. Not only does it have thunder and lightning, but the earth is going to start shaking. Every island in the ocean and in the world is going to be moved, like in the days of Peleg, when God divided the earth. Great buildings are going to be shook down. Islands are going to be dissolved and drowned, or just immersed in the ocean. The earth is going to be a place of upheaval again, like it was in Genesis 1 and 2. Because the same angels that are doing that over there in Genesis 1 and 2 are going to be turned loose on earth again. Number 6, verse number 6. And the 7 angels, the ones having the 7 trumpets, they prepared themselves in order that they might sound the trumpets. Now, go back over here to your little charts, okay? You have seals, and you have trumpets, and you have bowls and vials. Now, many writers believe that these are totally separate, like this, but I believe they're intermingled, as you see on my chart. So you can believe whatever you want to believe. That's my opinion, and that's their opinion. Okay? I'm not going to argue about that. That's my opinion and their opinion. All right? Thomas, I want you to come up here so people can see, and Sarah, who they've been praying for about 8 years, okay, or more. We're right in the middle of the tribulation period. We turned hell's angels on the earth, and the earth is surrounded by these hell's angels. This is my little boy. He's not little anymore, but I remember when he was like that. This is Thomas. This is the one you've been praying for all of these years. This is this class. And that's Sarah back over there. Sarah, do you want to come up here too? All right. Just for a moment. All right. The whole world wants to see you because I've been talking about you forever. So now they have a face to put with the people. That's Thomas and that's Sarah.
Hello.
My loves. All right. Have a seat. We've studied 16 points of what these hell's angels are going to do on the earth during the tribulation period. Here's a chart showing that. Here's the tribulation period. After the rapture, God's going to turn these demon angels, fallen angels, to the earth, on the earth. They've been held for thousands of years in a bottomless pit, and they're ready to kill, and they're ready to bite, and they're ready to plunder, to gnaw on humankind. Now let's look at Revelation 8 and verse 7. And the first he sounded, and it became hail and fire. Hail and fire. Hail and fire. How many of you ever seen hail? Big hail. Do you know how much damage hail can do? Brother Mike, you ever been in a hailstorm?
No, I see a pickup in Arkansas
That's been through a hailstorm. All right. You're looking at somebody that's been through a hailstorm. Thomas, do you remember up there in Fish Lake Valley? Remember when that hailstorm came? And I put my hat I put a hard hat on, I put my thickest clothes on, and I went out there and I started picking fruit off my trees because it looked like shotguns were shooting out of heaven. The whole place was covered with white hail this big, and it actually defoliated those 300 trees. I mean, hail was hitting so hard, the ground was just turning green with that hail. And I went out there, and the apples and the pears and the plums were just, looked like somebody shot every one of them. And I was picking them up, putting them in. I wasn't going to let them be waste. I've been taking care of all these things all that time. And I went in there, and here my fruit was all shot up, so we built a fire in the wood stove, and we put a big pot up there, and I put apples, pears, everything, plums, everything, cherries, everything in one pot, and I made like a pudding or a preserve out of it. And we had that on bread and whatever. I wasn't about to let it waste, but it like to kill me being out there. Hail. Mixed with blood. And I guarantee you I had a lot of bruises on me. Somebody like they were shooting these golf ball size hail at you almost. Having been mixed with blood, and it was thrown unto the earth, and a third of the earth, it was burned down. The third of the earth was burned down. And a third of the trees, they were burned down. And all the grass that was green was burned up. All the grass that was green was burned up. Now we have a third of all the vegetation in the world that's been completely destroyed. Animals live on vegetation. Humans live on vegetation. A third of the food source of the world has been destroyed in this one trumpet sound. In this one. Okay? 8 and verse 8. Now we go to the ocean. Go to the ocean. How many of you have been on the ocean? What does the ocean do? Marilyn? It cleanses the earth. All right? And how does that happen, Dr. John? How does the ocean cleanse the earth? I'm asking this doctor to tell me that. What happens out on the ocean? What moves the cleansing effect? Wind. The wind. If you go down to Los Angeles, the Los Angeles basin will be all smoggy, and the wind blows in and takes it out to the ocean, and it cleanses it every day. All right. It's nice when we have a little breeze here in the San Joaquin Valley. It blows all the dirt and smog and everything out of here. 8 and verse 9. And it died, a third of the created creatures. The created creatures in the sea. Marilyn, it's your turn again. Okay. Every time we go out in the ocean, what do we see? Lots of life. Brother Mike, you've been out there. You're liable to see any kind of life. What, Mike, were you out there in the ocean with us that time when the ocean was so full of fish that the boat was floating on fish? Were you with us that time? Marilyn, you remember that? You could feel the fish's bodies rubbing against the boat. That there was a great school of fish just came up, and the boat was just floating on fish. Of course, water and fish. That the boat, the ground, or the ocean was just shining with their bodies. Another time, we were hitting into a great pod or school of those lingcod. And my grandson, Dakota, caught this lingcod about that long, pulled it into the boat, and Jason was afraid of it, and he ran up on the edge of the boat and was running around the edge of the boat. And I told him, I said, Jason, he said, I'm not coming in that boat with that fish. The thing got a mouth full of teeth. Had a mouth about like this big and sharp teeth like needles all in there. I mean, it's snapping its teeth and everything like that. He wouldn't come in the boat. So I said, look outside of the boat, Jason. It's ocean's full of them. And there they were. You could see that kind of fluorescent color, greenish, yellowish fluorescent color. They were all around us. The boat was surrounded. During this plague, all of that life is going to be dead. The ocean's going to be full of dead stuff, stinking, diseased, dead stuff. And it died, and it died. A third of the created beings, the things in the sea, the things having lives, having souls. You don't think animals have souls? The Bible just tells us all over the place animals have souls. In Hebrew, the word is what? Brother Roger? Nephesh. In Greek, it's what? Psyche. Psyche. They have souls. The living souls, having souls, a third of the ships were thoroughly destroyed. A third of the ships were thoroughly destroyed. Let's go back a little bit and let's talk about these trumpets and these vials and bowls. Look at this. Chart. We're talking about vials and bowls. These are judgments. Now, mine are intermingled. I believe they are intermingled. The guy that did this chart has them separate. But if you look, you'll find out that what's happening in one is crossing over into the other. Okay? Now let's look at this and see things. The events of the trumpet judgments. Hail and fire mixed with blood shall fall upon the earth, and 1/3 of all the greenery of the earth shall be destroyed. Number 2, something like a great mountain is thrown into the sea, and 1/3 of all the things in the sea are destroyed, and ships and fish and living creatures. Revelation 8 and 9. What is mountain? What is mountain in the Bible? What is mountain? Dr. John, you remember what mountain means in the Bible? Joanne? Mountain in the Bible. Mountain in the Bible. What? Government. Thank you, Brother Mike. You agree with that, Brother Randall? Mountain. Mountain means government. Mountain means government. Okay? What kind of a government is thrown to the earth? This mountain, what is it? And there's a star that falls to the earth called wormwood. And it says that he, this star, who do you think this is? Who is wormwood? What does wormwood mean? It means bitter. Bitter. All right. Satan, his name was Hillel. His Latin name is Lucifer. And what he became is Satan. What does Satan mean? Satan. One who stands against. One who stands against God. Now in Genesis 1:1 we see God created the earth in perfection. It's in the perfect tense. It was fulfilled. It was completed. And Genesis 1 and 2 it says the earth, she became formless, and destruction was all over, and darkness. Hallel means the shining one or the light carrier, and the earth became darkness. And now here again, he destroyed the earth once, and God reconstructed the earth. Now, the Lord has gathered all of his people off of the earth. There are people being saved on the earth during the tribulation period, but it's rough. This is real bad. This is what we call last week deathbed professions. I believe that the people that heard the gospel during the church age and did not believe, I think some of them will be the first to believe in the beginning. Right at the rapture, I think is going to be the greatest revival of all time, just like it was in the days of Noah. When the door was shut on the ark and it began to rain, now what sources, how many sources of water were there poured on the earth in the flood?
Bubbling up from the ground, coming from the skies and out of the rocks and rivers and lakes.
Okay, we have the Pigay, or the fountains of the deep were opened up. This is what we call the artesian springs. Now, Sarah, remember when we went out there to that hot tub in Fish Lake Valley? Yes, sir. That's a Pigay. Now, there was no pumping that. That was just flowing. All right? During the flood, I could take you back up in Wyman Canyon, and you would see water flowing out of the ground. Just, Thomas has seen those things up there. See water just flowing out of the ground. That's a fountain. That's a underground artesian well or a fountain. You don't have to pump it out. It flows. God opened up all the fountains of the deep, and he did something that had never seen before. He created rain, and with rain comes what? Lightning and thunder. They had never heard anything and never seen anything like that before. And the earth, before the flood, the earth was surrounded by ocean in the sky. The sky was full of water. There was a great lake, a great ocean, completely surrounding the earth. And God opened up the rivers of the heavens, and the rivers flowed down to the earth and flooded the earth. Okay? When they saw this all happen, they had never seen this before. I mean, they had seen the fountains. They had seen irrigation. They had seen rivers, but they had never seen all of the earth just open up. And streams where they had never seen them before. They got scared. And they believed. And they died. Simple as that. They believed and they died. Some of them wouldn't believe. We know that. Okay? But some believed. Look at these bowls and vials here. Now, let me go back and read some of my notes here. Something like a great mountain is thrown into the sea in Revelation 8, 8, and 9, which we're about to go to. And then a great star called wormwood will fall into the waters, and 1/3 of the streams of the earth will be poisoned, and many will die. Revelation 8, 10, and verse 11. Number 4, 1/3 of the moon and of the stars are smitten till they will not shine. Now, the earth becomes so polluted that there's only daylight 1/3 of the day. It's only daylight 1/3 of the day. 2/3 of the day is in darkness. 2/3 of the day is in darkness. So there's only daylight for about how many hours? About 8 hours a day at the very most. Also, the warning of the covenant woes is given in Revelation 8, 12, and 13. Great locust-like creatures are turned loose upon the earth. And what are these locust-like creatures? They're fallen angels. They're fallen angels. That's what they are. And where do they come from? From the bottomless pit. All right? These are to torment those who do not have the seal of God in Revelation 9 and 4 on their foreheads for a period of 5 months, which is about how many months out of the year locusts usually plague mankind. During this period of time, man will seek to die because of the great torments upon them. Under this trumpet, the first of the 3 woes takes place. See? Over here, we have the seals, we have the trumpets, and we have the vials, and we have the woes also. The woes. Woe to the earth. What does woe mean? In Greek, it's ouah. What does woe mean? Ouah. What does it mean, Brother Mike?
Spirit.
Calamity. Calamity. Ouah, calamity and fear. The second bowl begins under the 6th trumpet, and the 4 angels bound at the river Euphrates. They are to proceed and kill 1/3 of mankind, and the great battle of Armageddon is beginning to be mustered. And 200 million people are gathered together for this battlefield. And the battleground is described in Isaiah 63, 1-4, and Revelation 14, 9-20. And 1/3 more of mankind are killed by 3 plagues of fire, smoke, and brimstone. This could be easily the weapons of mankind, these armies. Gunpowder. Gunpowder is made out of what? Got a lot of nitroglycerin in it right now, but it used to be made out of sulfur. Sulfur and saltpeter. And it will blow up. And it smells like sulfur. Every time Thomas picks up one of my guns, he does what? Smells in it to see if it's been shot. You can smell gunpowder. You can smell gunpowder. You can smell explosion. Powder is by lard made of sulfur or brimstone, and it produces fire and smoke. As a natural barrier, the Euphrates is removed. The armies have direct access across to the battlefield in Revelation 9 and 14 and Daniel 11, 41 through 44, and Ezekiel 38 and verse 1. The sixth trumpet continues. The rest of mankind who were not killed by these plagues still refuse to repent. During the sixth trumpet, the seven peals of thunder are utter their judgments, but they are not yet revealed. The bittersweet book is eaten by John in Revelation 10, 9 and 10, and Ezekiel 2, 8 through 10. During the sixth trumpet, the two witnesses of God also prophesy for 1,260 days. How many is that? Revelation 11 and 3 for further. There's a great earthquake in Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem, it tells you the very number of people that are killed in the city of Jerusalem. How many people are killed in the city of Jerusalem during this earthquake? 7,000 people. This is prophecy. The rest are terrified with godly fear because of this plague. The seventh trumpet, more great earthquakes and hail in Revelation 11, 13 through 19. The translation of the remaining of the saved on the earth that have stood for the name of Christ. This will be the final gleanings of the great harvest of God. In 1 Corinthians 15, 52, 1 Thessalonians 4, 16, Psalm 2 and verse 9. The last trumpet and the seventh trump must not be confused. Let's go back now to 8 and 10 in the book of Revelation. 8 and 10 in the book of Revelation. And the third angel, he sounded, and it fell out of the heaven a star, great, burning as a torch or lamp. It fell upon the third of the rivers and upon the fountains of the rivers. That's the springs out of the earth. In other words, the rivers and the springs are going to be poisoned. Now, when you don't have any water, Thomas told me when he went over, it was in Afghanistan or Iraq, Thomas, where it was 145 degrees. Iraq, 145 degrees. How many of you have been in 145 degrees? Without water? These places are going to exist, but there's not going to be any water. How many gallons of water do you have to drink a day, Thomas, to stay alive? A lot. A lot. Just drink gallons. If you go out in Death Valley where it's 125 to 129 degrees out there, they say you have to drink a quart of water an hour to stay alive. To stay alive. A quart of water an hour. At least, that's minimum. 8 and verse 11. And the name of the star. Let's go look at that. And the name of the star is called wormwood. The name of the star is called wormwood. Wormwood is bitter. And a third of the waters became wormwood. And many men died from the waters because they were bitter. Okay? And the fourth angel sounded the third, and a third of the sun, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars were smitten, that a third of them might be darkened, that the day might not shine for a third of it, and the night in the same way. And I looked, and I heard an eagle flying in mid-heaven, saying, Woe, ooh-ah, 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 is what it says in Greek. To those who dwell calamity, calamity, calamity. To those who dwell on the earth. This is during the tribulation period. This is the ones that wouldn't listen. Now, I want to tell you something about these people, tribulation saints. Okay? We don't know much about them. We believe that they're possibly at the very end of the seventh trumpet, that some of them might be raptured and taken away as the final destruction falls upon the earth. Some people believe that. Okay? These tribulation saints may have more rewards than some of the unfaithful Christians during the church age. Remember, I've told you over the years that during the church age, some people of God just won't serve the Lord very well. They are just they're what we call worldlings. They're not interested in God's stuff at all. Just not interested. But they're saved. And I think they're going to be ditch diggers in heaven. We've talked about that, ditch diggers in heaven. They won't serve the Lord here, they'll serve the Lord there. And I believe because of this terrible period of time that these tribulation saints, many people believe they're going to have greater rewards than some people that live in the church age. I'm not talking about the bride now. The bride are those faithful in the church age that are going to rule and reign with Christ forever. Forever. Not just 1,000 years. Let's go on. We've got a couple of more minutes. Try to get through this chapter a little bit. I heard an eagle flying in mid-heaven saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe to those who dwell upon the earth, because the remaining blast of the trumpet of the 3 angels are about to sound. And 9 and 1 says, And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven. Now remember, when the star fell from heaven, it said it took 1/3 of the what? Of the stars with him. Remember who that was? That was Lucifer, okay? Which had fallen to the earth. And the key of the bottomless pit was given to him. Who do you think this guy is? He's one of these evil fellows. He's one of these evil angels. Now he has a key. And a key, a clay-ace is what it says there. And what is a clay-ace? A key is authority. How many of you have a key to your car? Some of these cars now just go in there, you just punch the door and they start themselves and all this kind of stuff. But you have to have a program for that. That program is the key. Okay? Some cars don't even have keys. They've got a little opener and closer and starter. But that's authority. So this angel, this evil one, that's doing the bidding of God now, he's turned loose on these evil people. Now, who is on the earth at this period of time? Who is left on the earth who is left during this tribulation period? Who is left? There's going to be 144,000 Jews saved, at least that many, so we got Jews left there. We got Jews that wouldn't believe in Christ. And we're going to find 2 out of every 3 Jews is going to be dead. Let's put 3 fingers up. This is real simple mathematics. 2 out of every 3, that means 1/3. Only 1/3 of the Jews are going to live. And then put your whole hand up there. That's 5 fingers. All right? 5 fingers. Now, if you're a Gentile, we'll put up 6 fingers, actually. Okay? 5 out of 6 are going to be dead and be killed because they wouldn't believe. Now, the Christians that are going to believe in this period of time, many of them is going to seal their lives or their faith with their lives or with their blood. There's going to be capital punishment, and it is going to be beheading, according to the book of Revelation. The capital punishment is going to be publicized on television all over the world. Now, when this book of Revelation was written, there wasn't any television, was there? Huh? In about 90 A.D., was there any television about that time? No television. But this book here says that the whole world is going to see these people. It's going to be telecast and broadcast to see people executed for their faith that won't follow the Antichrist. And the Antichrist means instead of Christ. All right, and the bottomless pit was opened. Now here is an abyss. These are for these fallen angels, and the earth is going to be surrounded by hell's angels. The earth is going to be surrounded by hell's angels and angel wars. All right. Read on just a little bit further. Opened up the bottomless pit, and out of the bottomless pit, like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by the smoke of the pit, and out of the smoke came forth locusts, akritos, things that walk on tiptoes is what it says. Upon the earth, and power, authority was given to them, as scorpions of the earth have power. And they were told that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, nor any green thing or tree, only men who have not the seal of God in their foreheads. And they were not permitted to kill anyone, but to torment for 5 months. And their torment was like the torment of scorpions when it stings a man. How many have been stung by a hornet? How about wasps? How about bees? That is just small compared to this. I remember when I had that cancer surgery. I went down to L.A. I was down there for 2 weeks and came back up here. And just a few days later, there was something in the storage container out there I wanted to go get. And I crawled up there, and I could hardly walk because I had been gutted, you know, and they sewed me back together. I was all chopped up and anemic and couldn't hardly see or anything. I crawled up on that platform out there that used to be my little shop up there in Nevada, Thomas. And I opened the door, and I pulled it up like this, and a swarm of hornets just covered me. And I had a T-shirt on because it was hot, July. And all down my arm, those hornets were stinging and scraping. They can bite you and sting you both. One of the torments that brought a man into manhood in South America was they caught these hornets. And they put them in these little webs that they would seal together, and they put on one side, they put their head sticking out, on the other side was the tail sticking out. And they take a young man, and they take this sheet of this stuff where the hornets were stinging on one side, and they scrape it down the boy's back. And then they turn it around and let the thing bite him on the other side. I'm going to tell you something. They sting like fire, and that is toxin. That is poison. My joints are just destroyed because of being stung so many times out there. Well, that's where I'm going to finish for today. Previews of coming attractions. Now, we're going to start there next week. These 5-month stings. Stopping at 9 and verse 6. They were not permitted to kill anyone but to torment them. That's going to give people a hard time. Any questions? We've covered a lot of territory today in the book of Revelation. A lot of territory. No questions? I'll be here at 4:30 this afternoon. The classes have been downloaded more on the book of Exodus than any of the classes that we've had. Brother Bill, your turn.
August service something meeting. Looks like it's going to be interesting. I think I'm going to make that.